Blind Scared. May shared this story with me. I've been blind since I was a small child from a degenerative disease. I now live independently, alone in my little house with Bob, my guide dog, my loyal companion. Being blind doesn't stop me from doing everything I want. Bob is my lifeline, my eyes in the world. Without him, I'd be lost. That evening, everything seemed normal. The sun had set hours ago, and the house was quiet. Bob lay at my feet as I sat on the couch, a blanket tucked around my shoulders, listening to an audiobook. I could feel the soft hum of the fridge in the background, the quiet atmosphere of the night wrapping around me. It was peaceful. I could hear Bob pacing the floor. His paws clicked softly on the wood, and his low, nervous growl filled the silence. "Bob, what's wrong?" I whispered, reaching down to gently pat his head. His unusual reaction, a tense body and louder growls, sent a shiver down my spine. He didn't respond the way he usually would. Instead, he backed away, growling louder. My stomach twisted. Something was wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Bob's behaviour was so out of character that it was unsettling. "Bob, come here," I called softly, my voice shaky now. But he didn't listen. He was at the far side of the room, his low growls deepening into something more protective, more urgent. I stood up, feeling my cane in my hand, the metal tip tapping on the ground before me as I slowly approached him. My mind raced. There was a strange stillness in the air. It felt off. I couldn't explain it, but the hairs on my neck were standing up. Then I heard something soft, a faint creak from the hallway, like someone had stepped on a floorboard. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. "Bob," I whispered again, but I didn't feel him near me this time. He was still growling, his body tense, far from where I had left him. I gripped my cane tighter, my pulse racing. The creak was followed by another sound, something like a shuffle, but too deliberate, too quiet. Whoever it was, they weren't making much noise, but I could feel them in the air, the tension. There was a heavy, suffocating stillness. "Who's there?" I called out, my voice trembling more than I wanted it to. I didn't get an answer, but I didn't need one. I could feel them, a presence. Someone was in the house. Bob's growls grew louder now, more aggressive, and I knew he was ready to protect me. But then I smelt something I didn't expect, the unmistakable smell of meat, a strong, fatty metallic scent that filled the air. I stood frozen, heart pounding, as I heard Bob's sniffing grow closer, frantic. Then there was a soft thud, like something heavy had been dropped onto the floor. I heard Bob move, and he was eating something. "No, Bob," I screamed, "don't eat it." Moving closer to him, I extended my cane in front of me, my fingers trembling around the handle. My mind was spinning. What the hell was going on? I heard him whimper, and I reached out to touch him. His body felt off. He was lying on the floor. His fur was soft, but he was panting and couldn't seem to sit up. Had he been drugged? My heart stopped. Something was wrong. Bob didn't behave like this. My mind screamed in panic, but I had to stay calm. I was desperate to help him, to understand what was happening. The sounds in the house grew louder, the soft tread of feet, the creak of the floor, and the feeling of someone coming closer. "Who are you? What have you done?" I screamed in the air. I pulled my phone from my tracksuit top, my hands trembling as I fumbled for the screen. My heart hammered, but I couldn't waste more time. I had to get help. That's when I heard it, a man's voice. I almost didn't catch it. "You're not alone, May." I froze, a chill crawling up my spine. His voice sounded familiar, but my mind couldn't place it. How did he know my name? "Who are you?" I demanded, my voice shaky but firm. I couldn't see him, but I could feel him moving closer. "You don't need to worry, May," he said, his voice sickly sweet. "You won't need your dog anymore." "No, no, no," I screamed. My hands flew to my side, searching the space. There had to be something I could use to defend myself. The lamp. My fingers reached over until I found the cold and heavy metal lamp. I grabbed it, feeling the weight in my hands. It wasn't much, but it would have to do. I didn't wait to think. I swung the lamp as hard as I could, feeling the resistance as it connected with something solid. There was a sickening thud, and the man's body jerked back, a grunt of pain escaping his lips. I didn't stop. I swung again, feeling the lamp connect again. I heard the man crumple to the floor with a dull thud. I didn't wait. My hands were shaking as I dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? "There's someone in my house," I gasped, my breath coming in sharp, uneven bursts. "I'm blind, and my dog's unconscious. I need help, please." "Stay on the line. Help's on the way," the dispatcher said, her voice almost too calm for how terrified I felt. I could hear the man groaning in the background, but he wasn't getting up. He wasn't going to hurt me or Bob again, not if I could help it. Minutes dragged by, feeling like hours. I kept my cane close, my ears straining for any sound. Every creak of the floorboard, every shuffle had me jumping. But the man stayed still. Finally, sirens wailed outside. Making my way to the front door, I opened it and officers stormed in, their boots stomping heavily on the floor. They found the man quickly, dragging him across the floor. I could feel his body being lifted and hauled away, but I couldn't help shaking. I dropped to the floor beside Bob. My hands trembled as I gently stroked his fur, my heart in my throat. "Bob, please be okay," I whispered, my voice breaking. I felt him stir under my touch, a low whimper escaping his lips. My heart soared with relief. He was still alive. A lovely female police officer stayed with me until the paramedics arrived and took Bob to the vet. It felt like an eternity before I got the call that he was going to be okay, just groggy from the sedative the intruder had slipped him. But he was going to be okay. Later, the police told me that the man lived in my apartment block. He'd been casing the area for a while, watching people, learning their routines. He'd planned it all. He knew I was blind and thought he could get away with it. But Bob knew better, and because of him, I was alive, my protector, my lifeline. I'll never take that for granted again.